Hello everybody, here we are today and we are going to be doing our CFL Week 16 picks / predictions for the week. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the channel. That being said, let's get on into it. So the first game of the week is Saskatchewan. They take on the Red Blacks, almost said Rough Riders there. And this is a fun game because the Rough Riders have had, some good points in the season, had some really low points. And they are looking to get back on track and get back in the win column, get back to 500, whereas Ottawa is not anywhere near 500 right now. They've lost 7 in a row, had a really painful loss to the BC Lions last week. Terry Williams sparked a late comeback there. Lewis Ward ended up missing, or is going to miss the rest of the season with a pectoral injury, and that is, not good. And they just kind of feel like they're at the bottom right now, which is crazy because that was Edmonton not too long ago. The Red Blacks, though, haven't been eliminated. The East is still up there for playoff contention, theoretically, and we could see the Red Blacks continue to have some good games after the Crum and Hardy connection looked really good as well. And we will see with them. The Rough Riders are going to be missing some guys. Morrow's out, Lanier's out. Other guys on the defensive side of the ball are going to miss this game, which makes it that much more interesting because, again, Ottawa nearly took off BC last week, and BC's higher in the standings than Saskatchewan. So theoretically, we could be looking at an Ottawa win. This is a very tough game to pick for me. I'm kind of looking at it in the perspective that the Rough Riders really could use a win right now. Ottawa could too as well, but I guess I'm going to be picking the Riders to get it done. If they don't get it done, it kind of opens the door to whatever happens to them in their season is their own fault. And the Red Blacks, if they lose this game again, you're kind of talking about, is Dice out as the head coach? What is the situation there? And I couldn't tell you at the moment. But for this one, I'm going to be picking the Riders. The second game of the week is BC at Edmonton. The Elks are suddenly surging. Again, kind of on the opposite end of Ottawa, where Ottawa had some moments earlier in the year where you're thinking, holy cow, this could be a good year for them. And then they faded. It's vice versa. Edmonton was not even fading. They were not even in a spot where they could fade because they just started out and plummeted right from the first get-go of this. And then they suddenly started to rise. Trey Ford has looked really good for them. Maybe this team is a team that could sneak into the playoffs. 3 out of the remaining games are against teams that don't necessarily have as much to play for. They play Winnipeg and Toronto later in the year, I know that. So those two teams may not have a lot to go off of. Toronto really doesn't right now anyway, so those could be some wins. But they're focused on this game against the Lions. And for BC, they have not really been a good team as of late. That form that they had early in the year where the defense was just, airtight and they were able to get some really good wins, it's going to disappear. Not only are they playing bad football, they're playing bad football against bad teams, which is kind of concerning as a fan of the team heading towards the playoffs. They are 1 win away from making the postseason yet again. But of course, if I had to pick on them to win a game this year against a contending team with form as of late, I'd say no, and I'd say almost anybody could knock them off any given day of the week with how it's been lately. So Edmonton's really in a spot where they could pull an upset here and get a big W and maybe, just maybe, get those wheels churning a little bit more in terms of playoff talk. However, I got to say, for the Lions, they know they need this win. They know they didn't play particularly well and were able to steal a win from Ottawa last week. Why not steal 2 wins from 2 teams that are below you in the standings? I don't know. I feel like the Lions should win this one. If they don't, yeah, good for everybody else, because that would be just downright frustrating, because it is. The third game of the week, the Montreal Alouettes travel to Calgary to play the Stampeders. This is a big game for both sides. Don't make any mistake about it. Montreal is a team that seemed like a lock not too long ago for the playoffs. Probably still a lock for the postseason. However, they have lost 4 in a row, if I'm not mistaken now. So they are going to be going out there and trying to get things on the right track, because you have a team like Hamilton, the Tiger Cats, are right on their heels. They're quickly approaching in the rearview mirror, and they very well could host a playoff game, which should be Montreal's playoff game if I'm being honest. But this team's very streaky at their highs. They probably could beat most, if not all, teams in the league. At their lows, they could probably get beat pretty bad by most teams in the league. Looking at this game, I think that the Stampeders obviously have a lot to lose too. They could very well be on their way to missing the playoffs for the first time since 2004. They have not missed the playoffs since I was in kindergarten, and I am now 23 years old, well past all those days, and it's crazy to me. that the streak's been able to go on so long, but the wheels seem to be not only just slowly falling off, it seems like the car has turned over the edge of a ravine and things are going poorly there. So I don't know, you've got a team that's slumping and a team that really hasn't caught momentum all year for the Stampeders, and Montreal obviously the team that's slumping right now. This should be a good one because of how important it is. Again, for Montreal, you're in danger of losing your home playoff game and maybe theoretically a playoff appearance if Ottawa caught fire. And for Calgary, you can't afford any more slip-ups. You really need to win out, to be honest. I don't know, I think I'm going to be picking Calgary. I can't remember who I picked in our picks for Instagram for the CFL prediction people, but I will leave it in the comment down below because I really can't remember, and for this game it does seem like it is very hard to make a winner for this one. And then the final game of the week, you have the Hamilton Tiger Cats traveling to Toronto to play the Argonauts. Hamilton has suddenly caught fire and they are well on their way to making the playoffs and again possibly stealing a home playoff game from Montreal. They've had some upset wins over the Blue Bombers, they've had some upset wins over the Lions, and that is good. They have been able to get out to early leads in those games and hold on to those leads in those upsets. Probably a recipe for success against Toronto if they want to do more of the same. The Tiger Cats are at a spot right now where Steinauer's job is probably on the line, so a good finish to the year could, maybe make things a little bit more secure there. Some other guys could be in a spot where maybe they're not there if things go poorly by the end of the year. I don't know, but I do know that at the beginning of the year, a lot of people, including myself, were pretty high on Hamilton, so if they can show us more of that form that we expected at the beginning of the year, then some points we've seen, then that is absolutely terrific. That being said, they're going up against a Toronto side that is 11-1 on the year. They really don't have a whole lot to play for, so I guess with this many games, you're kind of toying around with how some, formations could look, how your depth pieces could look, who's going to get plays, all that stuff. Maybe Hamilton does get lucky where they get to be the experiment, I guess, if you will, for Toronto, and they could go out there and take advantage of that. I don't even know if Dinwiddie's going to do that because you probably do want to take things seriously and close out the year on a good note, even though there's a third of the year left. The Argos are undefeated in games that Chad Kelly's gone up there and finished, the lone game being against Calgary, and that was a while ago. Even still, they had a chance to win that one. I think I'm going to pick Toronto for this one. It does seem crazy, especially because of the fact that Hamilton has so much to play for and has been good as of late and has been beating teams that they really shouldn't be. But with the Argos, I'm assuming they're going to keep a lot of those guys out there, maybe get out to an early lead if they're lucky, and then kind of see where things go from there. But again, if Hamilton gets out to an early lead, we've already seen them multiple times with those contenders, especially Winnipeg, be able to get the job done. They had 5 interceptions on Coloros. Who's to say that Kelly doesn't have a bad day? So anyway, those are my picks for this week. You have the Rough Riders, you have the Lions, you have the question mark in Montreal and Calgary. I'll leave that down below in the comments. And then you have the Argos. I had a pretty rough week last week, so we'll see how this week goes. Anyway, make sure to leave your thoughts on who you think will win this week down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe and have a great night.